I'm Sharon Bill. Welcome to my Music Theory Tuition series where I work with you step by step through the ABRSM Discovering Music Theory grades. I'll work through every single exercise and explain everything you need to know. You can access information about the books I have available to help you on my website. Go to sharonbill.com. For advert-free and longer lessons, you can become a patron at patreon.com/SharonBill. If you can give me a like, that would be super, and please do subscribe to my channel to stay updated. You can support this channel by buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/SharonBill. Continuing with the topic of ties, turning to page 25, we're now going to look at actually writing how these are placed on the page. So we're going to look at how to write these. And so you'll notice that they're positioned note head to note head. So they'll have to be underneath the notes when the stems are going up. They'll have to be on top of the notes as the stems are going down. And regardless of how many notes are tied, it's always individually done so. It's not one great big line, otherwise that would look like a slur, which is a large umbrella. I showed that last video actually, where a slur is sort of an umbrella over lots of different notes, just meaning to play those smoothly. Ties are particularly individual note head to note head. Now, they have to be kind of next to the note head. You don't have to touch the note head particularly, but they're not kind of floating off in the distance. You can see they're very close, so you can definitely see which notes are connected. And just a little bit of a curve to that. It's not a box or a straight line, there's definitely a curve to that. And so just a little bit of artistic skill here. And again, always write in pencil. It looks the easiest thing to write. And, you know, we don't have to worry about being absolutely symmetrical. You know, here we've got nice print that will do it perfectly. But we need, you know, a good, neat, tidy example. And so exercise 3 asks us to join the notes in the boxes to tie the notes together, but then we need to number the beats as well, because we still need to show where the beat falls. And just because it's tied, it doesn't change where the beat is placed. The fact that no sound is being made there doesn't change the fact that that's the first beat of the bar. So we have our tie here. We have 3 beats in a bar. There's beat 1, 2, 3. Beat 1 is still there, but nothing is being played afresh. It's just continuing to sound over that beat until beat 2 and then beat 3. So if we're counting 3 beats per bar, we have 1, 2, 3, hold, 2 and 3. That's how it works out in practice. And so we've got 2 jobs to do. We need to join the box notes and then we need to number the beats. So here we need to add our tie, note head to note head. It will go over the top, and that's sort of close enough. I would suggest we're adding 2 beats per bar. Each of these is half a beat. That's the start of beat 1. There's the second half completing that beat, because if I just show you, there's beat 1, which divides into 2 halves. There's beat 2, which divides into 2 halves. So all of that is beat 1, the first half, the second half. All of that is beat 2. Here is the start of beat 1. Nothing is sounding there. Well, no, nothing is being played afresh, but the sound continues. There's the second half of beat 1. There's beat 2. And then beats 1, 2 completes that final bar. So we have 1 and 2 and hold and 2 and. That would be how the tie would be played. And so now you've seen how this is going to work out. I do suggest that you have a little go yourself. Always work in pencil. If it's not right, it's okay. You can learn more thoroughly by making those mistakes. Better to make the mistakes now than on the exam day. And you can always rub out if it's not quite right. So let's continue. And I'm hoping you've had a go of these and we'll check these through together. So we need to tie these notes together, and so because the stems are going up, the tie will go underneath. That will kind of do. It's It's a little bit lopsided, but that's okay. Does the job, and we need beats 1, 2, 3, 4. So beat 1 is there, beat 2 is there. That's beat 3 and beat 4 because that's a 2-beat note. Beat 1 is continuing that previous sound and being held for an extra beat. There's beat 2, and then beats 3 and 4 finish the bar in this long minim at the end. So now we have a tie over the bar line here. We're tying a minim to a quaver. There we go. We've got to add 2 beats per bar. So there's beat 1, a crotchet. There's beat 2, another crotchet. Beats 1 and 2 are taken up with the minim in the next bar. And then the first part of beat 1 is tied. Because as I showed before, there's our beat. The first part is tied. There's the second half of the beat. And then here is beat 2. Beat 1, 2 fills that last bar. There's our minim with 2 beats filling that last bar. And now we've got to tie these notes together. Again, the stems are coming down, and so our tie is going to go from note head to note head over the top. We've got to add up to 3 beats per bar. This minim is worth the first 2 beats, beats 1 and 2. There's beat 3, and then it's held for the first part of the next bar first beat. There's beat 1, there's the second half of beat 1, and then there's beat 2, there's beat 3, and our final minim. And then finally we have a tie going over the bar line here. Now this, if you remember, is common time, which is another way of writing the time signature 4/4. Again, by all means, just pop back to the previous rhythm chapters, starting on page 2 and page 13 to check out anything you're not sure of. So we're counting 4 beats per bar. So there's beats 1 and 2. Here's beat 3. Here's beat 4. Beat 4 holds. There's beat the first part of beat 1. We have 4 semiquavers which complete beat 1. If you remember, they're a quarter of a beat each, and we know that 4 quarters make a whole, so there's a whole beat. There's beat 2 and 3, and then our final beat is a crotchet rest. So that's that beat. That's that bar completed. Moving on, sometimes we don't use a tie to extend a note value. We use a dot. Now a dot after a note makes it half as long again. So this is where you really do need to get your maths head on. And so we know that a minim is 2 beats. And so there's our, I'll just move that over actually. So we know that a minim is 2 beats. And then half of 2 is 1. Therefore, that's why a dotted minim is 3 beats long. And so we know that a crotchet is 1 beat. Half of 1 is a half. So a dotted crotchet is 1.5 beats. So you can see that the dot changes value depending which note it follows. Now here, this is where if maths is not your strong point, it's easy to visualise it. So let's say there's a whole beat. We'll divide it into quarters. So we know that a quaver is half of a beat. So there's the quaver, half of a beat. And then half of a half is a quarter. And that's why it makes 3/4 of a beat. A dotted quaver equals 3/4 of a beat. So by all means, do diagram it out if the smaller divisions seem a little bit problematic to you. And so now what we've got to do is combine that knowledge with what we've learned about ties. And now we're asked to rewrite these tied notes as a dotted note of the same value. And so we have a 1 beat here added to a 2 beat, and so we need to know which dotted note makes that sum of 3 beats. And there we have our dotted minim, which we just worked out here. I suggest you have a go. Just have a go and just sketch out your thinking and do write the answers in. Commit yourself to just working it out and then come back into the video and we'll check them through together. It's okay if it doesn't quite work out correct first time. Rub it out and have another go. It's okay to make mistakes. In fact, I suggest it's probably better to make some mistakes now because that way you will thoroughly learn the whole process. So I'm hoping you've had a go. Let's check through these together. So we know that a quaver is half of a beat and a crotchet is 1 beat, and so we want to know what is worth 1.5 beats. Well, actually a crotchet is 1 and a dotted crotchet would take the place of that quaver, so a dotted crotchet beat we know is 1.5 beats. And it is much clearer to see the timing here than here, and you avoid ties wherever possible really. A dot is preferable to a tie but not always able to replace it. And so this next one, we have the same scenario the other way round. It doesn't change the maths at all because we've got a 1 added to a half, which is still 1.5, and so it's still a dotted crotchet. And again, here we have the same scenario as A, but in the other way around. That doesn't change the maths at all. Now we have a 2 plus a 1, which equals 3, which we know is a dotted minim. Because the minim is 2, the dot is half as long again, and so the dot is taking the place of that note. There's no need to have that note, the dot will do the job. And now we have a quaver, which is half of a beat. And we have a semiquaver, which is 1/4 of a beat, and we worked out there that 3/4 of a beat is a dotted quaver because the dot is doing the same job as the tied semiquaver, and so we just need the dot to take that value for us because half of a quaver is 1/4 of a beat, which the dot will do for us. And here again we see we've got the same scenario the other way around. It doesn't change the maths at all. We have 1/4 added to a half of a beat, which still makes 3/4 of a beat, which still makes a dotted quaver. And that's the end of that section. I hope this is helpful to your studies. Please do like and subscribe to stay updated. If you'd like to support this channel, you can buy me a coffee, and for advert-free lessons, you can become a patron. Do visit my website where you'll find many resources available to help you. Visit sharonbill.com. Thanks for watching. Bye.